I use Shipt same-day delivery to stay connected with my sister during the holidays. She lives across the country. Shipt has tons of stores to order from. Groceries from Albertsons, crafts from Michael's, even pet supplies from PetSmart. The list goes on. So when we have long-distance movie nights, I turn to Shipt to get face masks, snacks, and everything else we need delivered to her and to me same day. Download the app or visit Shipt.com. That's SHIPT.com.
What's going on? I'm Arch Manning, Viore athlete and college quarterback. Whether I'm running, training, traveling, or just unwinding at home, I love doing it in my core shorts from Viore. With a breathable boxer brief liner, they're quick to dry, super versatile, and stand up to even my most intense training sessions. Plus, they come in 3 inseams and a ton of colors. Ready to try a pair? Go to Viore.com/arch and get 20% off at checkout. I think you're going to love them as much as I do. That's VUORI.com/ARCH and get 20% off your first order. Exclusions apply. Visit the website for full terms and conditions. Not only will you receive 20% off your first purchase, but enjoy free shipping on any U.S. orders over $75 and free returns. Have a great day.
The James Golden Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you. I appreciate it. Please. I appreciated the meeting with the president, and as he said, it was a productive meeting focused on a place of shared admiration and love, which is New York City, and the need to deliver affordability to New Yorkers, the 8.5 million people who call our city their home, who are struggling to afford life in the most expensive city in the United States of America. We spoke about rent, we spoke about groceries, we spoke about utilities, we spoke about the different ways in which people are being pushed out, and I appreciated the time with the president. I appreciated the conversation. I look forward to working together to deliver that affordability for New Yorkers.
Thank you very much.
Yes, my friends, welcome to the Saturday morning extravaganza. Your Saturday morning vibe, a good way to start off the weekend as we head into Thanksgiving week 2025. I'm James Golden, Bo Snerdley with you here. You can give us a call if you choose. 800-848-9222 is how you reach us, 800-848-9222. The big story in yesterday's news leading into the evening hours was the meeting between Donald Trump and New York's incoming mayor, Zohran Mamdani. That was overtaken in the evening with another news story. MTG Marjorie Taylor Greene announced that she would be leaving Congress after a tumultuous week that should have been a week of victory for her. Of course, you know, it's just amazing to see how quickly the news cycle changes. We've had, I guess, mind-boggling changes this week. The shutdown's over. It's almost as if the shutdown now is such old news no one even wants to talk about it. It's like, okay, that's done. Move on to the next thing. The ramifications of that are still being felt. In Charlotte, there's major insurrection going as ICE and Border Patrol try to bring law enforcement to that North Carolina city. Of course, the Epstein files were supposed to be front and center this week. The discharge petition, successful. You had almost a near unanimous legislative branch effort to release all of the Epstein files. One person in the House, Higgins, Representative Higgins, voted against it. And he said the reasons that he did that were to protect, I guess, people that are mentioned in there that are the victims, that he did not feel comfortable with the lack of protections for some of the people that might be victims, but Clay Higgins. But it was a near unanimous vote. So Epstein files, that was supposed to be it. Then something strange happened. Instead of it all being Trump, 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 see what the liberal commentators were anticipating. Oh, we'll finally get Trump. We'll finally get Trump. Instead, it turned out to be a week of Democrat problems with the Epstein information. We learned that Stacey Plaskett, the delegate from the Virgin Islands, was texting with Epstein during a congressional hearing. And the the flabbergudgery, I'm making up a word, the flabbergudgery that happened after that to try to wiggle out of that little gem of a story was astounding to watch. Then we learned that Larry Summers was involved heavily. And oh boy, the folks up at Harvard didn't like that one. And then we found out Hakeem Jeffries' campaign had sent a nice letter trying to convince. This is all after, by the way, with Hakeem Jeffries, the campaign trying to get Epstein to come to a dinner and meet their candidate, Hakeem Jeffries. And all of that embarrassment, Democrat, Epstein. Democrat, more Democrat, Epstein. Well, we can't have that. So what became the next news story? The next news story, one of a despicable nature. You had elected members of Congress, Senate, and House, including former astronaut and former captain, now Senator for Arizona, Kelly, and others, this Slotkin woman, and others put together a video in which they were urging the United States military and members of the intelligence community to disobey illegal orders from the President of the United States. The issue was that there haven't been any illegal orders. They didn't point to any illegal orders. What they are trying to do was to foment dissension in the United States military and in the intelligence service. Donald Trump didn't react well to that. He called it what it was, sedition. This is seditious behavior. And he reposted something that a person on, I believe, X or True Social mentioned that, hey, George Washington hung people. Oh, boy, that became the next big ballyhoo for the mainstream media. Trump demanding execution of sitting United States legislators. No, he did not. And now every one of them on that shameful video is out doing their best to do fundraising on it, to make it a big deal that they're the victims. Kelly brought out his wife, who was, as you may know, Gabby Gifford, when she was sitting in Congress, there was an attempted assassination on her. I think many of us in this country were appalled by that and prayed for her recovery. She has been out, and she posted a video on it. And all of that is, you don't want to attack her, but at the same time, it is unconscionable that Captain Kelly and Senator Kelly would post what he did. And also, many of us like me, I grew up loving NASA and the space program. Some of what happened in the space program still indelible. For every time I think space program, one of the first things, January 27th, I wouldn't want to say traumatized, but when we lost 3 astronauts at the beginning of the Apollo program, January 27th, 1967, I was a kid. I was devastated. Gus Grissom, all these astronauts were heroes. That was before I grew up and then realized that they're people too. Some of their politics are a little bit weird, like John Glenn during the Clinton years just totally showed what a partisan he was politically, and that kind of was a little bit distressing. But still, there's this love that you have for astronauts and what Senator Kelly did is just disgraceful. And he's trading in on the strong love that American people have for the military, and in some cases, like people like me, for the space program and his role in it, to launch a political broadside against the President of the United States that is difficult to comprehend. even if there were orders that legislators think have conflicts, they don't have the role to go out and try to foment dissent in the American military or in the intelligence services. What they did is beyond disgraceful. But it did do one thing. It took Epstein off and the Democrat problems with Epstein off the headlines. That's what it did for a day or two. And now we have Marjorie Taylor. And we have Mamdani. Boy, the press on this Mamdani thing. Trump meets Mamdani in Oval Office. Winners, losers, takeaway. Biggest winner, Mamdani. I mean, really? Really? What has he won? I'm glad that the meeting actually went well. I think I think people underestimate how smart politically Donald Trump is. Because what this meeting did, and we can get into this in detail, we'd love to get your thoughts on it. One of these things that the leader did, this meeting did, is take the pressure off of Donald Trump in a way. Everyone in the media expecting Donald Trump's going to go to war with Mamdani. No, Mamdani's problems are not going to come from Donald Trump. They're going to come from inside New York. They're going to come from Kathy Hochul, the governor of New York. They're going to come from his radical, leftist, beyond control city council who are going to have to now try to figure out how to deliver all this free stuff that Santa Mamdani has promised people. And it's not going to be easy. How do you do this without raising taxes on everybody? Oh, we have some bites from that press conference that are priceless. But what Trump did pretty much is just hand the problem to Mamdani on a silver platter. Oh, I want you to succeed, buddy. Oh, yeah, New York, great. Oh, yeah, this guy's going to make New York great again. Yeah, make New York great again. I wouldn't mind living there if he's a Donald Trump. Please. Oh, I wouldn't have a problem living in New York under Mamdani. Yeah, right. But what happens now? Mamdani has to go back home and figure out how to do all this stuff when he takes over January 1st. And if I say it again, if you're a Republican Party, if the New York Republican Party had their S together, they would have billboards on day 3 of Mamdani's reign in New York. Where's all my free stuff? Where's the free stuff? Anyway.
The James Golden Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The James Golden Show, entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Let's get some of these Mamdani things out of the way. Okay, we played that. I went right by me. That cut one, right? Yeah, went right by me. Let's just hear it one more time. I just love this one.
About your comment calling the president a fascist, and your answer was, well, President Trump and I have been clear about our positions and our views. Mm-hmm. Are you affirming that you think President Trump is a fascist?
I've spoken about...
That's okay. You can just say yes.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. It's easier. It's easier than explaining it. I don't mind.
It was just hilarious. Yeah, it's like he's just... Yeah, go ahead, man. Just call me a fascist. It's all right. You know, names don't hurt me. Also, I think one of the more interesting questions of that entire press conference came when Mamdani was called out with a question from Jack Posobiec. And that's cut 7. And just listen to it and listen to the exchange. See whether you can hear the wiggle that came with this from Mamdani.
Jack?
Mr. President, I want to know one of the policies as well that Mayor-elect Mamdani talked a number of times about on the campaign was shifting the tax burden for property taxes from what he called minority communities to white-based communities and putting more taxes on white people. I also noticed that in your acceptance speech. You didn't mention anything about America or Christians or white people in general. And so I didn't know if that was one of the policies that you guys had spoken about.
We focused on affordability. We focused on the cost of living crisis. What I will say is that I am very much interested in property tax reform, because what we see right now in New York City is a system that is so inequitable that it can't even stand up in court. And the president and I spoke about the importance of not only building more housing, but also making sure that regulation of housing is something that is manageable to actually get through and not the cause of yet another weight that we see in our city.
Clear, you're continuing this idea of race-based property taxes.
No, to be very clear,
that's what you said.
No, the use of the term was a description of neighborhoods, not a description of intent.
So you intend to tax the whiter neighborhoods more?
No, we intend to create a fair property tax system because we want a New York City that is not only fair and equitable, but also one that every New Yorker can afford.
He's smooth, but he did not get out of it because he said it. And it's just the thinking of it. I just love it. Great question, Jack. It was a dynamite question because this is something Mamdani has said out there. And now he hears it himself and how it sounds now that he is the mayor-elect of New York. And by the way, I don't even understand that. The premise of it. Somehow or another, what we are led to believe is that in New York City, somebody in the tax office there figured out, okay, let's tax black neighborhoods and neighborhoods where brown people live higher than we do neighborhoods where white people. How does that work? The premise is an absurd premise. But yet, it was, of course, part of the campaign. And so, again, we shall see what happens when he actually gets in. People do want to talk about Mamdani. And I'm going to take some calls on it. In fact, Kenny is calling in from Yonkers. I'll just take one right now. What the heck? Kenny, how are you?
Okay, Bo, I haven't spoken to you for more than a couple of years. My girlfriend died in May.
Oh, I'm so sorry, Kenny.
Bo, I've always liked you, but I'm going to condemn how you handled Trump in dealing with Mamdani. Why didn't I know people say, oh, Trump is very cool, calm, and collective in handling Mamdani. But why didn't he bring up the idea of why doesn't he want to announce that he wants to recognize Israel as a Jewish state and condemn the haranguing, harassment, the protests at a synagogue where they say they want Jews to be scared. They want Jews to be scared.
The issue of hold on, Kenny, hold on. The issue of anti-Semitism, and Mamdani did say on the way out the door as the meeting was ending that he would protect Jewish New Yorkers. Now, that doesn't answer directly your question, and I want you to hold on because I don't want you to just leave at that point. And I don't know what you expected me to say about Trump's handling of a question that didn't happen, your question, but I want to get a little more clarity on that.
The James Golden Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. James Golden Show. Entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Teddy, not Kenny, Teddy is on the phone with us. My friend Teddy. Teddy.
Yes, sir.
Did you have any other? I don't even know how to answer your question, to be frank with you, because it didn't come up in the meeting as so. What is your overall sense, though, of the meeting between incoming New York mayor and Donald Trump?
They were both phonies, okay? I'm going to call it like it is. I don't care for the Democrats anymore, especially the far left.
Wow.
I don't care for the far right with their anti-Semitism, the Tucker Carlsons and Fuentes and company, and I haven't heard Trump condemn Tucker Carlson at all, okay? And I haven't heard you condemn Tucker Carlson.
I'm not going to condemn. Let me tell you why.
Why?
Look, because number one, Tucker can interview anybody he wants to interview. I am not a fan of Nick Fuentes. Don't know as much about him as some other people do because, frankly, he's off my radar. I don't pay attention to a lot of people that are out there. He's just a media guy. He said some things that apparently are just really ugly, harmful, and all the rest of it. So what? Nick Fuentes isn't on my radar. And he had that meeting, and I happen to know a little bit of the inside of that disastrous, they tried to set up Trump with that meeting, and the person that did that is now out of the orbit of, has been sort of displaced politically because it was a setup, because this guy's apparently really toxic. I don't give a rat's you know what. I'm looking at the monumental issues of the day, not some of these personalities. I'm not going to ever get on here and slam Tucker Carlson. I like Tucker Carlson. Now, does that mean I agree with everything Tucker Carlson says it does? No. But guess what? I don't also follow everything Tucker Carlson says or does because I'm busy doing my own show, and it takes so much time to do that. But I'm not going to slam Tucker. Why would I? So, no, I'm not. There are a lot of people that are not on my radar that I don't talk about. I don't talk about one of the others that's on social media always involved in something that's not her business. Who's a man, who's not, and all this nonsense. I don't follow that stuff that I have to comment on everything. I comment on the things that are important for this country moving forward, in my opinion. That's what I do, and that's where I focus my energies, Teddy.
You're very selective. You're very
Yes, I am.
selective.
I'm selective with how I spend my time and what I spend it on. You're absolutely right. And there's a lot of stuff that I select not to follow because I'm not interested in it.
That's why
It doesn't, in my
opinion,
do anything to advance the political discourse and the political future of this country. It's a distraction. It's an asterisk. It's not important. So I'm selective.
When you can't have equal criticism of both parties, then you lack credibility and you lose.
No, I don't. First of all, there is no such thing as equal criticism. What kind of nonsense is that, Teddy? You're smarter than that. Let me put it to you like this. Here, let me give you a prime example. You mentioned that you don't like the Democrats much these days, and I don't blame you, Teddy. I understand that. So, for the last 200 years or more, Democrats have run New York City. Well, you have, once in a while, they throw in a Republican mayor just to mix it up. But for the most part, the whole infrastructure politically in New York is built around Democrats. Now, they've run the city as a rat hole, right? So why would I start trying to do equal criticism of the Republicans and the Democrats? The Democrats are the problem, not the Republicans, for the most part. Look at California. The state is sucking wind. Do you know, Teddy, they had a fire there in January. You might remember it. Over almost 7,000 houses burned down. Today they're celebrating because one house, the first house, has been rebuilt. One house since January has been rebuilt. And they're like having Karen Bass is out making all kind of whoa, this is great, we got a house. It's like, this is ridiculous. Look at what's going on in Charlotte. You have people trying to fight ICE. And you look, the schools are empty because they're filled with illegal immigrants, and now the illegal immigrants won't come to school. Republicans didn't do that. Democrats did it. So why would I try to be equal in the criticism? Look at the way they destroyed Chicago, and they're still out doing it. Look at the way Democrats destroyed D.C., their life. Why is there equal criticism needed? Your guys, or the ones you used to like, did all of that. Why would I have to do equal criticism? Now, when Republicans do stuff I don't like, I criticize them too. But for the most part, Democrats ruin the United States, and they're trying to keep ruining. So why would I be looking around for equal criticism, Teddy?
Okay, if you don't want to use the word equal, fine. But what about the Republican idea of Nazism? It's becoming the Republican Party.
No, Teddy, you're mistaken, Teddy. That's the mainstream press. They're Democrats. That's the line that they're using. Again, it's just propaganda. Come on, Teddy, you're smart enough to buy in that. Most Republicans, and Teddy, I'm going to say something here to be equal. Most Republicans and most Democrats, outside the elected class that likes to just throw words around regardless of how important, most people in America that know the history of World War II are appalled at the idea of any politician being compared to a Nazi. Except for these insane people that want to use it, and by the way, diminish who the Nazis were. The Nazis were one of the most evil forces in the world, and what they did was unparalleled evil. There is no politician in the United States in their right mind that supports Nazism, and so it's a straw dog, Teddy. There's no Republicans supporting Nazism. There may be some fringe neo-Nazis out here, but you can find those kooks, and there are very few of them, because most of them have the good sense enough to keep their horrific, ugly, horrible, twisted, perverted views to themselves in their little small groups. It's nonsense, Teddy. You're smarter than that.
All right. In my final words, I wish Trump would have handled Mamdani not like kid gloves yesterday.
Well,
okay?
He did handle him like a kid, and that was fascinating. He handled him like he was a kid. He kept patting him on his little, like it's okay, little boy. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay, Mamdani. Oh, go ahead. Call me a fascist. Don't get in trouble with your base, mommy, Mamdani. Don't get in trouble. You can call me a fascist. It's okay. I can handle it. It was a pleasure to watch. And let me just say on a serious note, it was a pleasure to see both of them conduct themselves in a way that Americans could be proud of. Both men. Both of them. Mamdani handled himself well. Of course, Donald Trump handled himself well. And you know what? I think people were actually pleasantly surprised that they could walk away after looking at that and actually feel pretty good and not feel like, okay, everybody's fighting off the cliff every single moment. Whether they mean it or not, it came off as something that was good. And I don't have any problem with that. And by the way, now Mamdani's still got to deliver on all this free stuff. And, so he's got some issues because people are expecting all this free stuff. He's not backing down from it either. Teddy, let me just say one thing to you. I'm so sorry. You mentioned it, and you mentioned it in passing that you lost your girlfriend. And I just want to tell you, Teddy, you and I have disagreed over so much politics over the years. It's been a long time since I've heard from you. And I'm glad to hear your voice, and I am so sorry from my heart that you have experienced such a loss. And we love you, Teddy, so hope to hear back from you, okay?
Yeah, I knew I knew Chuck Granby, the former coach of Andrew Jackson basketball team. I knew him.
Oh, yeah, he was a great coach. And, Teddy, thank you so much. Appreciate the call.
Okay.
All right.
The James Golden Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The James Golden Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Let's get back to the telephones. Victor is calling in from Maryland. Where are you? Victor, how are you, Victor?
Well, I'm nervous, to be honest with you. I was listening to Mark Levin last night. He did a couple of segments where Texas is preventing a mosque to be built, and CARE is suing Texas, and Mark was explaining how to fight this. I'm just nervous that I don't want to live under Sharia law.
Fight what? No, I don't think you have to. Okay. How many Muslim people do you know?
None.
How many Muslim people have you known?
There's none around here in Maryland.
All right, let me just say this. I grew up in New York. One of my best friends in life, he's like a brother to me, his religion, if he is Muslim, parents are Muslim, I spend time in their house. When I became an adult, I met so many people of Muslim faith, of Islamic faith. Some of the most devoted people spiritually that I've met are Muslim. If you were to be around them, you would love them. Great people. Now, I understand what the threat is that people are responding to. There's the radical jihadists, the people that took down the World Trade Center, the people that attacked the Pentagon. Those people are not representative of the almost billion Muslims around the world. They are a growing segment. There's no mistake about it. There's no mistake that we need to be, as a country, as a nation, very conscious of the security of this nation. Period. We have to be. We have to be vigilant. The idea that somehow or another Sharia law is, most people don't even understand what Sharia really is. They just throw around these words. But the idea that somehow we're going to be taken over by Sharia law is just a bunch of bull. It's not going to happen. I mean, let me just say this. It would take the entire country not being America for that to happen. Now, when you look at what is happening across the pond, and you look at the way that Europe is going because of immigration, yes, there are concerns. Things are changing. And yes, and I'm not denying this, there is among the radical Islamists the idea that we're going to outbirth and we're going to take over nations. I'm not denying any of that. But once again, I ask you to draw distinctions and to use your sense of discrimination. Discrimination is not a bad thing. There are people that practice the Muslim faith that are just wonderful people. There are people who practice the Muslim faith who aren't. There are people who practice the Christian faith who are good people. There are people who say they practice the Christian faith who are not. And you can go down the line in every faith of the world and find the same thing, the duality between people who are devoted to God and people who use religion and are devoted to their own selfish, evil interest. So I don't believe in living in fear, and I don't believe in just scapegoating large groups of people because of things that are occurring. I think we need to use our sense of discrimination a little bit better than that and not let fear rule us. And that's what I'll just say about it. And I don't want to give into a lot of hyperbole and start creating hate for people based on our own ignorance of who they are. At the same time, I don't want to ignore organized threats to this country the way that in England, politicians there have been completely taken in by their own wokeism and cannot look at what is honestly happening to their country. But we as human beings have to use a sense of discrimination and make good choices. And part of making good choices is not looking at an entire community of people that you don't know anything about and making judgments on all of them and using that to inform you or to frighten you. That's my take on it. Thank you for the call. I do appreciate it. Chris is calling in from the Catskills in New York. How are you, Chris?
Good morning, James. How you been? Long time no speak.
Absolutely. How are you? We only have a minute here. I may have to just ask you to continue to hold. What's on your mind this morning?
I thought it was very refreshing to see Mamdani and Trump both act like statesmen, and obviously they did find some common grounds on ideas. I was watching a lot of deconstruction on CNN Browns about it. Curtis Lewa came on CNN late last night and sounded like he was auditioning for a television program. He sounded wonderful, but the main topic of agreement was development of large sky-rise apartments and affordable apartments in New York City. They had speculated that Mamdani did his research, and he discussed that in the beginning of the conversation with Trump being a developer. They were having common ground from the beginning of the conversation.
So again, you thought it was refreshing to see two leaders actually have a civil conversation.
That's the way I always acted when I was an elected official as a Democrat, the way that I worked with Republicans. But I think this is going to be real interesting because both men are the poster child spokesmen for the major political movements and ideologies that are dominating this country right now, the modern socialist movement and the MAGA movement. And it's going to be interesting to see if their followers and the followers of these movements are going to allow this to happen, whether they're rigid adherents to the movements and ideologies, which I am totally against. I think it's destroying the effective governance of our country, whether the cultural personalities, the largeness of the cultural personalities of these respective politicians, is that going to be bigger than...
We have to go. You said a lot there that I need to unpack. Folks, hour number one done. Stay with us.
The James Golding Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. James Golding Show. Entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Our number duo is here, my friends. Saturday morning extravaganza. It is our Saturday vibe. You and I. 800-848-9222 is how you reach us. And our number two brings us to America's anchorette, the star, anchorette supremo of Red Apple Audio Networks. Our very own voice of her generation, Lizzie Radabali. Good morning, sweet Lizzie.
Good morning, my dear Bo. How are you doing?
Lizzie, I am doing well. Lizzie, you have some selection of stories for us today.
I know how to pick them.
You know how to pick them. Lizzie, let's get started with this. First, this one kind of blew my mind. I read a little bit about it. Didn't get to too much depth and when I read about it, I'm like, oh my gosh, everything recycles over time.
1,000%.
This congressional staffer girl that had supposedly attacked.
Yes.
I don't know whether you will remember what case I'm thinking about.
Oh, the Jussie Smollett? Are you?
No. Just go ahead, tell us about the story, and I'll tell you which case this is.
Okay, please. So this case, the most recent that we're talking about is Natalie Green, a 26-year-old former staffer to a New Jersey representative. He's out of Jeff Van Drew. He is New Jersey Republican representative in Congress, represents the Egg Harbor Township area, which is where this woman was found. She was found tied up, zip-tied, with a bunch of cuts on her. She even had stuff written on her, stuff calling her former employer a racist. Turns out that she staged that completely. She and some co-conspirator who... I don't know the details on this co-conspirator. I do need to dig deeper into this story to find that. I tried to find details on this co-conspirator, but all I found were people, just acknowledging that there is a co-conspirator in this case. But so somebody she was with called 911 and said that they were under attack. And then when cops got there, they found this girl zip-tied, cuts all over her. Turns out she paid a body modification artist $500 to do this scarring work. And I'm looking at a picture right now. It's pretty extensive. I mean, she was really committed to this idea. She was really committed to this whole bit. Now it looks like she's going to be committed to the hospital because it seems like she's got some mental issues that she's got to sort out. Her co-conspirator was searching zip ties near me. You know, why do people always Google right before a crime? I don't know why. They always do this. Casey Anthony, this girl, I mean, all the time. Just, you know, try to go to the library. Maybe look at the encyclopedia. Do it the old-fashioned way if you really want to do one over on the cops.
Now, she had also some of the things that she said were slashed on her body were like Trump stuff to make it look like, I guess, a Trump supporter or somebody. So you mentioned Jussie Smollett, but that's not the case that came to my mind. The case that came to my mind, Lizzie, and you were a twinkle in your sweet mother's eye when this happened, was the Tawana Brawley case. You were not alive at the time. Tawana Brawley. The city of New York was in an uproar. Wappingers Falls, New York. Tawana Brawley found in the woods, supposedly with slashed on her body and things, some words inscribed on her body, and she did it, and the cops did it. It propelled a certain politician to fame by the name of Al Sharpton, who was one of her biggest proponents. And to this day, the thing turned out to be a total hoax. And to this day, and it got so involved, you had defamation suits flying. You had police officers were smeared, their careers, their names sullied and ruined, all based on a hoax. You'd have to do a lot of work. I'm explaining it poorly because it was such a massive fraud. But it really did captivate not just New York. It was a national story. And it was horrific. The governor of the state at the time came out, this is horrible. And everyone assumed this was real. It wasn't. It was a hoax. And to this day, there has not been a full accounting of all those that perpetrated the hoax, that played it up, and it was just, this is another one of those politically motivated attacks that turns out to be a hoax.
It's really fascinating. I mean, the fact that there's, this recorded trend of these happening. And, I mentioned the Jussie Smollett, obviously there was no political, ties there, but there was.
Yes, there were.
There was, because, he argued that they were, MAGA people, that they were slurring, that they were, hurling slurs at him. So there was a political angle to that story 1,000%. So, I mean, it really is a symptom of our society that, I don't know, we have this idea of victimhood and people think that that's, a real method to get into people's good graces, where there's other ways to be viewed as a good person other than like a victim of a crime.
All right, who is this person, Parmigiano Reggiano?
Oh, it's my favorite kind of cheese. Hello. You never got the Parm Reggiano from the supermarket. It is known as the king of cheeses. And
how Hollywood's cheesiest new star.
Yes.
Has been signed for what?
Correct. United Talent Agency has signed Parmigiano Reggiano, the consortium. They have signed the consortium that's the governing body responsible of this cheese. This type of cheese, you have to understand, there's a lot of regulations around this cheese. Parmigiano Reggiano, it has been produced for nearly 1,000 years in Italy, but it is even under protected designation of origin. That means only 1 out of 5 Italian provinces is allowed to make it, and there's even strict rules about all the ingredients that goes into the cheese. So there's an entire governing body responsible for overseeing this cheese and, appealing to its partners, managing its presence. And now they're managing its presence on screen. And now I just want to read this one line from UTA's statement on this, if you would let me indulge.
Please go right ahead, Lizzie. Help you out, please.
This is like, this is just spin of the spin. So they said in a statement that they will leverage its expertise and global connectivity across entertainment and culture to introduce the cheese to a wide pool of partners to further its message of gastronomical excellence and high quality ingredients production and distribution. Now, gastronomical excellence, that's only a word that you see in an official statement like this. I mean, I know we malign it all the time, but stuff like this is why I kind of love the media.
Wait a minute. So you're telling me that a Parmesan cheese was signed?
Yes, correct. A Parmesan cheese was signed by a talent agency in the year that we're signing,
they signed
robots.
a Parmesan cheese. A talent agency has signed a Parmesan cheese.
Correct. They have exclusive rights over Parmesan Reggiano cheese. Now they will have, product placement. That's the, next big frontier.
Yeah, it shows up in some movie you're watching, and they do a little side shot and you see the cheese sitting right there, and they pay a gazillion bucks to get it in there.
Exactly. As movie theaters, kind of decline in attendance, the box office continues to take a hit, even though I will say the box office is doing incredibly this year. I think it's eclipsed the 2019 pre-pandemic numbers. So it is growing at the same time. But a lot of people in the industry will tell you that there's a lot of financial anxiety around creating a film. So, product placement, that is a real venture that a lot of people
it's a real
look to.
Moneymaker.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So product placement is the
Parmesan
way.
Cheese.
Yeah, cheese is the next star. I mean, it's not surprising. This year, like I said, we saw.
So this is, but Lizzie, wait a minute, because this goes back to like this whole thing. Only something from somewhere in France is supposed to be called champagne, because it's only the real champagne, or whatever
from
the hell.
Champagne region, yes, correct.
From Champagne. But people just say all the time, I'll have some champagne. They don't care about whether it's from that place.
Well, yeah, that's what they call genericide. That is the,
What?
It's a real thing in IP, in intellectual property law. It's called genericide. That's when a brand name eventually becomes the catch-all for something. I mean, think of
Kleenex,
Ziploc,
like Xerox,
even escalators. Escalators was the brand name of the
You're
actual.
kidding.
Yeah, escalators is now what we know though as escalators.
So anyway, Parmesan cheese is still Parmesan cheese.
Parmesan
All
cheese, exclusive, has not, fallen victim to genericide as of yet.
Okay. So now you got this judge. Last one we have time for. You got this judge. He was disciplined for what?
Well, we talked about this staffer who was committed to this bit. This guy was committed to his love for Elvis. He got real comfy on the bench, and he proceeded to wear Elvis wigs during court proceedings. He would not only wear this Elvis wig, notably on Halloween, every Halloween he would wear it in court, but he would also let witnesses or litigants have the option of being sworn in while playing Elvis music from his phone. So he had a real love for Elvis, but something that the headlines are kind of burying, they are saying that, he's resigned after being disciplined for wearing an Elvis wig. He actually resigned, on track. He was set to retire within about 2 years, and the board that disciplined him said, you know what, you're suspended for 6 months, then you could come back and finish out your tenure and then retire as normal. So this guy, he was able to kind of get away with this. He was really committed to his love for Elvis, but, he got too comfy on the job like a lot of these judges, lifetime judges do, we know.
Oh, well, could have been worse. Of all the things, judge gets slammed for wearing his Elvis. It could have been playing Elvis music when he swears people in. No, takes all types in the world as he takes it. Just things are going nuts out here. Yes. Oh, thank you so much, Lizzie. I will look forward to see what you bring us next week. Always a pleasure. And when you have time, it's not important, not anything, but look into that Tawana Brawley thing. You'll see what I mean.
Oh, I'm very interested. Thank you so much, Bo. Always a pleasure.
Yeah.
The James Golden Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The James Golden Show, entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Chris is hanging on, and Chris, thank you for your patience. We started a conversation with Chris before the break about the Mamdani meeting with Donald Trump, and he said something toward the end, and we got cut off, and I would love him to restate it. I don't know whether I agree with it or not, but I think it's an important point that he's saying that, well, why don't you restate your point, Chris, for us?
Well, boy, that's a tough act to follow, Liz Rodabali, but I'll try. So, it's like right now, at a point in time in our country, we have two major political movements and ideologies that are dominating everything in the two major parts. Well, the socialist movement is more regional than the MAGA movement. I think the MAGA movement is more widespread through the entire country. But it was so monumental, the two of those men meeting yesterday and actually getting along at such a high level. But both of these men, Trump more so than Mamdani, are, they're cultural personalities. And it's going to be interesting to see whether the hardcore supporters of these political movements, the adherents to these political movements on each respective side, are they going to tolerate the spokesmen and poster childs for their political movements to get along with one another? Or is the cultural personality aspect of Mamdani and Trump, respectively, going to supersede the adherence and belief system and value system that followers of MAGA and the modern socialist movement have? And are they going to let this fly?
They don't have a choice. Neither movement, well, especially MAGA, does not give permission to Trump to do anything. Trump defined the MAGA movement. And so you have, on the day that Marjorie Taylor Greene bows out because she's now going to work everything else, I think that goes to show you that there may be people who try to claim the mantle of being representative, but they're not. And Trump certainly doesn't need the permission to go into. Trump is just himself. It is not, and he is not a person asking anybody's permission to do anything. He does. He acts. And I think, and there'll be times, and there are disagreements even within, quote unquote, the MAGA movement on certain specific policy areas, but I think everyone understands the objective. Now, I don't know whether the quote unquote socialists, the young socialists, are going to be pretty ticked off with Mamdani or not. That I think that remains to be seen. But Mamdani still has to deliver, and that has always been. He has to deliver. He has to deliver the stuff he promised, or he's going to be considered a failure. And if he delivers what he said he wants to deliver, he'll still be considered a failure because socialism fails every time it's tried. So he's in a more difficult situation than Donald Trump. What Donald Trump has promised to deliver will bring prosperity. It has before, and it is poised to do it again. I know, look, you're not a MAGA guy. I know you're considering extreme, but these changes that Donald Trump has made and is making, including the moves with energy and with all, these are monumental things that he's doing. So I don't know whether I quite agree with your analysis, Chris. I wish we had more time. I always love talking with you. You have a brilliant political mind. So I'm going to encourage you to call back in and let's continue our conversation, okay?
Don't either, though, but it was great talking to you, Bob.
Thank you.
The James Golden Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The James Golden Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
I do want to get to some of the other things, folks, that are on the table. Donald Trump today on True Social. Minnesota, under Governor Walz, is a hub of fraudulent money laundering activity. I am, says the president, as president of the United States, hereby terminating effective immediately the temporary protected status program for Somalis in Minnesota. Somali gangs are terrorizing the people of that great state, and billions of dollars are missing. Send them back to where they came from. It's over. President DJT. He didn't even say thank you for your attention to this matter at that one. It was just boom. So I cannot wait. The explosion should be happening. Let me see. What time is it right now? Yeah. The explosions on Mainstream should be starting in about half an hour. And then they'll start, their guest roster will start waking up out of bed. And they'll pull them into the studios and start talking about how awful and racist and whatever else there is. That'll be coming up throughout the day and probably into tomorrow. They may even devote 2 or 3 seconds on the Sunday shows for it, as pathetic as those shows are. We need to do a Sunday show. We need to do a real Sunday show. Anyway, what's he talking about? Here's a story, and I got to tell you, there are people behind this, including Chris Rufo. It's just brilliant work. Here's a story. Minnesota is drowning in fraud. Billions in taxpayer, billions, billions. Billions have billions of dollars. Think about that. Billions of dollars have been stolen during the administration of Governor Tim Walz alone. Democrat state officials overseeing one of the most generous welfare regimes in the country are asleep at the switch, and the media, duty-bound to progressive pities, refuse to connect the dots. In many cases, the fraud has been allegedly perpetrated by members of Minnesota's sizable Somali community. Federal counterterrorism sources confirm that millions of dollars in stolen funds have been sent back to Somalia, where they ultimately landed in the hands of the terror group Al-Shabaab. As one confidential source put it, the largest funder of Al-Shabaab is the Minnesota taxpayer. So their investigation, this Chris Rufo and his partner, this shows what happens when a tribal mindset meets a bleeding heart bureaucracy, when imported clan loyalties collide with a political class too timid to offend, and when accusations of racism are cynically deployed to shield criminal behavior. The predictable result is graft, with the taxpayer left to foot the bill. If you were to design a welfare program to facilitate fraud, it would probably look like Minnesota's Medicaid Housing Stabilization Services program. The HHS program, first of its kind in the country, launched with a notable goal to help seniors, addicts, and the disabled and the mentally ill secure housing. Designed with low barriers to entry, minimal requirements to get money for reimbursement, they say. It was designed to spend maybe $2.6 million a year. Instead, programs shot up $42 million a year. And it goes on. This is a long article. Let me just say that in the end, it is billions of dollars that have been laundered, passed through these welfare programs. I have another news story on it from NPR, not NPR, but related, NPR, that appeared yesterday. This will give you a hint of some of what we're talking about here, folks. Minneapolis convenience store owner, is the 77th charged in Feeding Our Future scheme. The Feeding Our Future fraud investigation continues to expand. This is still part of this whole billion-dollar operation, just soaking welfare payments out in every kind of way that's going on under Tim Walz's leadership. Usman Kamara, the owner of Kay's Grocery and Deli on West Broadway Avenue in North Minneapolis, is the 77th person charged in the case since 2022. Charged with 9 counts, including wire fraud, money laundering, federal programs, bribery. Evidence similar to that laid out in other cases. He enrolled his store in a taxpayer-funded child nutrition program under the sponsorship of this now defunct Feeding Our Future. He claimed that he served breakfast and lunch to 1,000 kids each day, 7 days a week. Sent fraudulent reimbursement requests to back up his claims. 7 months later, he set up a nonprofit called Kay's Foundation. Claimed reimbursement for meals that were never served to kids. He used the money to do what? Fund his lifestyle, pay credit card bills, send a wire transfer $90,000 to an aluminum company in Hong Kong, which is one of the 3 laundering charges. It's just amazing the amount of money that has flown out the federal government in fraud, supposedly to feed the hungry. And apparently the fraud that has gone on in Minnesota has now risen to such a level, and the professional scammers, that the President of the United States is taking action on it and wants to see some of the scammers returned, repatriated back to their native shores. There's a lot to this story, folks. I'm just giving you the thumbnails of it. But we are talking about billions and billions of dollars in government fraud. And yes, there is a component to it. We opened the door to a certain refugee class in the country. They came in and they set up for, and some of them, not every refugee, I was just saying, have to be careful. Not every refugee from Somalia is a scammer. But some of the scamming gangs came in from Somalia, took advantage, sent the money back. Some of it ends up in the hands of terrorists. Goodness knows where the rest of it ends up. And now Donald Trump wants to send them home. Like I said, the media explosions on this Truth Social thing, you got 15, about 20, 30 minutes, they should be starting to, first they usually start off with little mild explosions, and then those people rile up other people, then you get the bigger explosions, and so by tonight it should be, tomorrow morning, should be a full-blown, he's a racist chant from the liberal, like PMS. Oh, they changed their name last week, so it's not PMS NBC anymore, it's PMS now. So expect some of the explosions to happen over there. Okie dokie. Charlotte. Oh. You know, one of these judges ruled Trump's got to take the National Guard out of D.C. They're still fighting. There was some other judge ruling on Chicago. Last night, they lit their Christmas tree in Chicago. Do you know what happened? Lois, take a guess at what happened in Chicago shortly after the Christmas tree was lit up.
Police came by?
Well, did you say police came by? Is that what you said?
Yes.
Is that, yes, the police came by. Police. Well, I suppose you're right. You know what? I suppose, here's what happened. At least 6 people were wounded in a pair of shootings in Chicago late Friday night in the Loop. Just right in the Loop, downtown, in the Loop, just after the Chicago officials lit their Christmas tree. You know, peace on earth, goodwill to men, all that sort of thing, and then let's shoot 'em up. Let's have a nice little shootout here. The Chicago Police Department spokesman, Tommy Aaron, confirmed at least 6 people were wounded in the pair of shootings. First shooting happened near State and Randolph Streets near the Chicago Theater. The second happened about half an hour later. It appeared the victims were teenagers, young adults. I mean, that's just normal business. Unless the National Guard or, some other law enforcement happens to show up. Just a normal day in Chicago. And then we get this one, another headline. After the Christmas tree was lit up in Chicago, here's a headline. Multiple Chicago police officers attacked in downtown violence, in which several victims were shot. Can you imagine this? Multiple police officers attacked, including one who was injured. And they were responding to the shootings in which another 5-6 people got a cap in their behind or wherever they were capped. Yes. There were 300 reports of 300 juveniles rioting in the Loop, downtown Chicago, when they were lighting up the Christmas tree. Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer skedaddled. He didn't want to have anything to do with it. He took one look, said, my nose ain't so bright, I'm getting the hell out of here alive tonight. And he flew the coop. Merry Christmas, goodwill, total my ass, I'm getting out of here. Multiple police officers attacked and injured. Some of the police officers were injured with mace and with stun guns. The criminals have got mace and stun guns now. And they're attacking the police. Merry Christmas. Happy Black Friday. And Democrats complain when you send in cops and law enforcement to this forsaken city.
What I take away from that is I think we need to defund the police.
Oh, you know what? You're absolutely brilliant.
Right?
You see, if the police were defunded and they weren't there, it wouldn't have been a problem. Then the police wouldn't have been injured.
Right.
Okay? Right. So just get rid of Elvis, that's brilliant. Defund the police, and that way you can save the police, and we won't have to read stories about the police being maced, the police being shot, the police being attacked by roving gangs of 300 juveniles in Chicago. Pritzker, of course, calls it a safe city. There's no need to send in any federal troops here. We got things under control in Illinois. Brandon Johnson's just busy praying. He wants to do another head tax. He wants to tax every head. No, it's not a sexual tax he's talking about. Get that out of your mind. A head tax. It's not that kind. Well, look. Do we have to do another break? Where am I? I've lost my place. Okay, let's just do it. I've totally lost my place here, folks.
The James Golden Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The James Golden Show, entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
I just got a text, too. Somebody asked me, dear friend, get your mind out of the gutter. Because I mentioned Chicago's head tax. The story is there. Mayor tries to save head tax. But business leaders warn him it's not a good idea. There's already a head tax in Chicago. Now, I don't know whether it's self-reporting. I don't know how you go about anyway. Speaking of those kind of matters, Joy Reid, we don't hear from her often. You know, there was a woman in the locker room that got thrown out. It was Gold's Gym. I think it was in L.A. And some trans guy was in there, black woman. She complained because of what she saw in the locker room, and they threw her out and suspended her and told her, don't come back. And she was on with Joy Reid. And I just want you to hear part of the discussion between these two with Joy Reid and this woman that was thrown out of the gym out in Southern California.
I would be disturbed. I'm telling you, I would be alarmed. I'm alarmed enough when I see a woman with her dangling boobies. Yeah. If I saw a penis in the ladies' locker room, I would freak out too. This is nothing against trans anybody. What it's saying is, if I turn around and I see a penis in front of me inside of the room, yeah. I would probably go to management and say, wait a minute, why is there a naked man in this room? Because just the world we live in, just from a safety standpoint and just from a privacy standpoint, so I can see why she would have gone and reported to management. There's a man naked in the bed. Now, if they clarified and they said, well, trans, okay, but I think they should take her concerns also seriously. Because if she's uncomfortable, does she not have the right to be at least uncomfortable with the situation, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. That is just, I'm telling you, that's just, apparently it wasn't the woman. She's talking about it with another woman, about the woman that got thrown out because she turned around and saw things in the locker room that I guess weren't supposed to be in the locker room. Okay, we did the Epstein stuff non-story. Nobody's commented on Marjorie Taylor Greene leaving. I'm shocked. Marjorie Taylor, MTG, decides she's going to be Marjorie Taylor gone. And we haven't had any, she's going to fight another day. You know, there are people on social media saying, oh, come on, her payday, maybe she'll become a full-time member of The View. Some people are predicting, but some network will snap her up. Now, especially that she's had a chasm with Donald Trump. Somebody will snap her up, one of the mainstream media networks, to give anti-Trump commentary on. We'll have to see if any of that plays out. Anyway, our number duo is in the can. No head tax.
The James Golden Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The James Golden Show. Entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network. James Golden, a.k.a. Bo Snerdley, presents Rapid Phones.
And as an added bonus, Princess Diana is here on the line with us. We start in San Diego, California. Kate, Tim, you are up first. Hi, Tim.
Easy. I just think that... well, I wanted to make 2 points, but I'll make my Mamdani point first, or however you pronounce his name. I think there was a little bit of legitimization on the part of Trump. I don't know why he did it. Why did he have to have this guy who is a Hamas supporter, who thinks that who badmouthed Trump and also has entertained a co-conspirator, an unindicted co-conspirator from the 93 World Trade Center bombing? What's that about?
Okay. What was your second point? I want to get to it, and then Diana's going to handle it first. What was the second question?
It was a music point. You know, you and I talked about Al Di Meola a while back, and I commented on something, a picture of him and Paul McCartney. I said he looked like he was made of plastic, and Al actually replied to me. I was stunned. So I got a reply on social media from Al Di Meola in the flesh. Amazing.
I love Al Di Meola, one of the greatest guitar players of our era. Thank you, Diana. Princess Diana, the Trump question: did he legitimize Mamdani? Why did he do it?
The voters of New York City, quote unquote, legitimized Mamdani. I think basically this was, a necessary thing. You've got basically the spokesperson for the new Democrat Party. And Trump basically said, "Come into my parlor," said the spider to the fly. He brought him into the Oval Office, which is the center of world power. There is nothing more intimidating. And he sat there at the desk where he signs the legislation and makes the decisions. And Mamdani was clearly intimidated and backed off on his, the rhetoric that his side expected to happen. I think it was useful for Mamdani to see where the power is and feel it.
Wow. Tim, thank you. Great call. Love it. Let's go to Ernest in Rockland County, New York. How you doing, Ernest? Property values up there going. Property values in Connecticut soaring because people are trying to get out of New York City. How are you, Ernest?
I'm fine, thank you, sir. And the reason why they're leaving is just remember this. This is a country of law. Trump is a genius. He let Mamdani come in there. Under law, American rule of law, Mamdani cannot take office on a Quran, so get ready for that. Public Law 97-280. The Bible is the rock upon which the Constitution, law of the land, rests. He cannot put his hand on a Quran. It better be on a Bible. That's number one. Number two, as a country of law, Trump's genius is he brings him in there, and then today's paper, here it is, sir, House pans the socialism. Congress denounces socialism in all its forms and opposes.
Yeah, they did the resolution. Ernest, they did, and thank you for bringing that up. They did the resolution denouncing socialism while sitting on top of one of the biggest socialist budgets of all time. Just saying. Princess Diana, your thoughts?
I agree with you. I think that Congress is toothless. I'm glad they said it. However, it has no meaning. And as far as the oath, I believe that it is not true. I believe that that has happened before, that people can put their hand on whatever book that matters to them. And I think that that will happen without controversy.
And I think so, too. I think you're absolutely right. And there was nothing requiring a Bible to be with the oath of office. That, by the way, George Washington did that. And a lot of the things, which is amazing, a lot of the things that George Washington did have become, of course, the tradition, and some people might think it's law of the country, because he was just such an amazing, powerful president in that. Anyway, Silas, in Staten Island, New York. Got to make it quick. You're up next.
Okay, yeah, now I'm seeing more and more both of your points. I guess Trump is a better chess player than me. He brought him in. If he would have refused to see him, they would have came down on him like a ton of bricks. Not only did he see him, he spoke with him, he spoke well of him, and now everything that Mamdani said he wants to do is going to fail miserably. The whole world is watching, and they'll see that socialism, communism does not work. And then Trump will say, I did everything I could for him, but as you see, it doesn't work. And the whole world is watching this one.
Wow. Princess Di, what do you think?
I think that it is obviously true that socialism is always a disaster. And if Mamdani actually tries to implement any of it, which he intends to do, I think you're exactly right. I think it will
Diana,
be.
we have. Thank you. I'm sorry to cut you short. We got to take this next one. We have to.
Okay.
Gary, I need you to get right to your question. I want to hear Princess Di's answer to this as much as I want to hear your question. This is a great question. Go ahead, Gary from Indiana. Gary?
This is Gary from Delray Beach. I have a question about Marjorie Taylor Greene, and is that who you're referring to?
Go with your question. Great question. Sorry, we got the location
Mr.
wrong.
Golden, thank you. Yes, here's the question, Princess Di. Trump met with Mamdani, which I'm fine with. I mean, he met with Kim Jong-un. He could certainly meet with Mamdani. But I don't understand, according to the Fox News web this morning, he apparently ignored Marjorie Taylor Greene's calls, and he gave her a cold shoulder, called her a traitor, which I think was really, really over the line, not true. And why is that? So now you have a problem with Marjorie Taylor Greene resigning, which means they have one less seat. and they got to fill that seat. And I'm just disturbed by the way he behaved with this. Can you explain this to us?
Well, I think that she is resigning at the end of her term. So, that is not something that's going to cause any problems because she will be succeeded by another Republican. I don't agree with you that Trump is too hard on her because anyone who follows the ins and outs of politics day by day knows that she has been a class 1A saboteur for months and probably unfortunately has a huge public following who don't understand and haven't followed this, that people know her from when she first came on the scene as being an outspoken supporter of Trump. And basically people thought she was on our side. And her actions actually betrayed that for the last 6 months to a year. She has undermined Trump at every single turn possible, and she has been a thorn in his side. He felt betrayed, and that's why he used the word traitor, and I agree with him.
Let me just say this to you, too, Gary. There's only one leader of the party. It's Donald Trump. It's not Marjorie Taylor Greene. It's not Nancy Mace. It's not Lauren Boebert. It's not even J.D. Vance. It's not Secretary of State Rubio. And people either fall in line with the leader or they don't. She went out of the line deliberately, and not just with Trump, also with the Speaker of the House. Now, you may not agree and like the Speaker of the House, and that's her right. But when you buck the leadership of your political party, very often there is what we used to call party discipline. There are consequences. And a lot of these legislators today think that they're beyond discipline. We just go in there and just go for yourself. Well, there's a price to be paid when you do that. So I hope that helps. Princess Di, we got to take a break. Sadly. So this was, as always, such a pleasure. Love the analysis. We didn't get to the call. I wanted to get to this guy on Somalia, Steve from Connecticut. Steve, give us a call back, please, at some point, because I want to talk about this. Diana, this thing that's going on in Minnesota, we got to talk about this, too. This is wild.
Yes, we do. Anytime, James.
Yeah, maybe this week. I know it's Thanksgiving week. If you have the time, maybe this week we can find before Thanksgiving or maybe Friday. Talk about it.
I would love that.
Okay. Princess Di, ladies and gentlemen. Coming back, we got America's Small Caffeinated Mom, Rhonda Schrock, with us.
The James Golden Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The James Golden Show, entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Rhonda Schrock, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, James. I'm doing great, and I think that maybe you owe Princess Diana her $100 back. You could just call it like a birthday fine or a birthday tax. Yes, you just need to keep forgetting it.
Rhonda, stay in your lane. Stay in your lane. Don't do the bets thing with me and Princess Diana. Stay in your lane here, because that's not a good lane for you to be in.
Oh, that's hilarious. That's so funny. Oh, I just think that makes sense, and I'll bet she's nodding on her spot on the couch.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So what do you have for us this week, my dear?
Well, I'm going to share two stories with you to illustrate the point that I've been pondering this week. Back in 2024, at the very beginning of the year, a young gentleman stepped into a huge and exciting assignment. The door that opened for him was not exactly the one that he wanted. He was kind of disappointed at the spot that he got, but he put his head down and he just gave himself wholly and completely to the work. The position that he landed in actually required a skill set that he hadn't acquired yet. And the pressure was intense. He was expected to learn a brand new skill on the fly, with management breathing blisters onto the back of his neck. And on top of that, not only was he supposed to learn it quickly, but it was supposed to be flawless. But he did it. He did it. Meanwhile, because his particular department was wildly understaffed, he was working 7 days a week. It didn't matter where he went. He had to take all his work equipment with him. If he was at the grocery store for a few moments, if a job came in, he had to stop what he was doing, complete the job, go back and finish his It was crazy for him. And by the end of the assignment, he was working 120 to 140 hours a week with about 4 hours back at his house. Wow. Yes, it was intense for that young gentleman. When the job was over, however, two things were true. First, it had been a smashing success. He had made an incredible contribution, and he was a part of history and opportunity that many people never, ever have or see. But secondly, he paid a price. It took a toll on his health and his vitality, and I believe he would say it took a good 3 months or so to get his health back because he had left everything on the field of conquest. Well, I'm telling you this story today because of what happened for him a year later. A new door opened up for him. He stepped through it, and not even a week into the new assignment, he realized something incredible. The skills he had learned in that intense and challenging year had perfectly prepared him for the assignment he found himself in now. He was using the same skills, but they were second nature to him, and people were noticing. As I was reflecting on his story, I thought back to when I began my career in medical transcription. My husband was starting his new business, and so I took an online class on medical transcription from home because I still had a 3-year-old, with me and 2 other boys in school, and I just couldn't go out and work and pay for childcare and have it make any sense. So I got my certificate. I began transcribing medical reports for a tiny one owner company in the state of Florida. It was bottom of the barrel pay. When you are transcribing, you get paid pennies per line, and I was at the very bottom of that ladder. And I would type. Sometimes I'd be transcribing at night when the boys were in bed. That was when I could do it for very little pay. But I was gaining experience. Well, as time went by and I got better, I applied for it and I got a better job. And one day in the company in Virginia, actually, and one day the manager called me and she said, "Do you have any experience in cardiology?" And I said, "No, I don't." And she said, "Well, we have a new cardiologist coming on, and I'm going to send some of his work to 3 of you to see how all of you do." Well, so I typed the work that came, and she called me the next day, and she said, "You had the fewest blanks in your report, so I'm going to send you more of his work." So I typed away, and surprised, this was familiar to me. I knew the terms, I knew the drugs, I was typing. She called me the third day, and she said, "He is asking for you. I'm assigning him to you from now on." Well, I was thrilled, and then she told me who he was. And it turned out that particular cardiologist was the chief of the cardiology department at Georgetown University Hospital. He was so well known that employees of the World Bank who were stationed around the world, they would fly stateside to have consultations with this doctor. Well, I realized one day that I knew those terms because of my first little job for a general practitioner in the state of Florida. And I'm sure you can see where I'm going. Most of his patients were elderly who had heart problems. And that is, that I had no clue at the time that little job was preparing me for something greater. And so cardiology became, in my career, one of my very favorite specialties. And for over many years, I typed thousands of reports for doctors in Virginia who I never met. But I loved the specialty. Anyway, I was so blown away that without even knowing it, that job was preparing me for the next one, which prepared me for the next one, and so on. I have seen this over and over in my life. And James, I'll bet you have experienced the very same thing, that often we don't even realize when we're in a situation. And sometimes the spots we're in are very hard, and they're challenging and difficult, and they seem like they're going to last forever, and we'll never get out of it. And what is the good in this? Well, most of the time, if not all of the time, as life happens and time goes on, you can look back and see what that was good for, and that the difficult or just challenging assignments or trials were actually perfectly preparing you for what was coming next. It's hard for us humans because we can't see the path that's ahead of us. We don't know what's coming. And so current circumstances often just don't make any sense to us. But if we give it time and we don't despair and we don't give up, generally we will have the privilege of seeing at some point exactly what it was good for and how necessary actually those stretching times and things were. So if you are in a challenging time, a very difficult stretching time, I would encourage you to hold on to the possibility that this is preparing you for your next step, your next chapter, and just refuse to give in to even a quiet and dull resignation, but for sure, don't give up and give way to despair. Like I used to tell my husband during a very challenging period with our adult son who was in the world of drugs, there's no actual reason for despair. It only looks like it right now. That is a truth that I have taken to heart, and for years it has kept me from drowning when waters were choppy, and it has kept my eyes focused on a more hopeful mindset. With Thanksgiving coming up next week, I think that it's a good reminder again to turn our thoughts and our minds to gratitude. And I don't mean the kind of Pollyanna mindset that just minimizes and goes into denial about the hard things. We can be grateful without denying hard things. We can still be grateful for the good things that we have and are receiving in the hard things. And focusing on that will lift you out of that negativity, because what we focus on grows and grows and gets bigger and bigger. So we can focus on the negative and the hard, or we can focus on the good and being grateful, and that's what will grow. So I just want to take this time to say happy Thanksgiving to you, to the staff at the station, to all of our listeners, and to all of your families. Happy Thanksgiving from the bottom of my heart and from my entire family. Happy Thanksgiving to all of you.
Beautiful. Where can people find your essay this week, Rhonda?
It's on thedailyds.com, which is your website.
And where do people find you?
RhondaSchrock.com, SCHROCK.
And happy Thanksgiving to you, Rhonda. Thank you so much for your contributions. We are grateful.
Oh,
that's it, folks.
My privilege.
Very grateful. We got to go. So we leave you today with the sounds of American soul singer and saxophonist with Motown, Junior Walker. It was Junior Walker and the All-Stars. So many hits from him. This is one of my favorites. He's also the grandfather of one of my dear friends, and I didn't know this. One of my friends, Audrey Pruitt, was talking one day, and it came up. He's like, "Oh yeah, my grandfather was what?" This was one of Junior Walker's biggest. You know, he also played on Foreigner's 1981 album hit, Urgent. But a lot of hits in the Motown years. We got to go. May God bless, protect each and every single one of you, your families, your loved ones. Love and gratitude. Yes, gratitude for your being here with me, allowing me to be with you. God willing, we'll see you next week. I bid you adieu. Bye.
Thanks for listening to The James Golden Show. You can hear The James Golden Show Saturday mornings at 7. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder,
what the heck is going on here? The holidays mean more travel, more shopping, more time online, and more personal info in more places that could expose you more to identity theft. But LifeLock monitors millions of data points per second. If your identity is stolen, our U.S.-based restoration specialists will fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Don't face drained accounts, fraudulent loans, or financial losses alone. Get more holiday fun and less holiday worry with LifeLock. Save up to 40% your first year. Visit LifeLock.com/podcast. Terms apply.